Hello everybody and welcome back to today's video. I do apologize if the video looks a little weird today. It's because for some reason, all my settings in my editor got lost, including all my presets for loading in and all of that good stuff. So I have to rework all that in the next few days. Not exactly sure what happened there, but I will work on it and I will get it fixed. Anyway, we are going to be talking about Microsoft Flight Simulator today. Some of the pros and cons I realized that it exists in it, and what happened during the launch and everything, and how everything went. It's going to be a little bit of a laid-back video, mainly because I didn't have time to record a full video, considering this is my first week of school this week. So I wasn't able to record like a really nice video for today. So we're just going to talk about a little bit about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. First thing I kind of wanted to mention is some of the things that happened during launch and how I think they could have been fixed a little bit better than they were. But everything seems to be a little bit more stable now. But I do have a few pros and cons to talk about. So launch, the Microsoft version of it went pretty well from what I've heard. There were a lot of issues with the download pausing or getting stuck, and that happened on both the Microsoft Store and the Steam versions. But the easiest way to fix that would to be going into the downloadable files, or the files that it just downloaded, and delete the latest file and let it just re-download. But if you don't know how to do that, that can be a little bit more challenging. So I do understand if people were having issues with that. But overall, it's a very nice flight simulator. Way better than X-Plane is. I've been an X-Plane fan for years, and in about 2 hours, I became a fan of this rather than the X-Plane. So that is, I was blown away by what this game can accomplish, especially with its graphics and stuff. So I would really highly recommend checking it out if you have your time. But this is where some of the cons come into place here. In terms of downloading, if you use the Steam version, the download from Steam is not the game download. It is the launcher download for the Microsoft Store. So what this means is when you download the game, it counts as playtime for Steam, which means it will take significant time. Considering it's about 100 gigabytes, it can take more than 2 hours. And if you don't know, Steam's refund policy is 2 hours. So you're going to be stuck with an unrefundable game if it doesn't work for you. So please keep that in mind, because you do not install like a normal Steam game. You launch it, it counts as game time, and that's how you get your download. So please keep that in mind. If you don't, and if you want the ability to refund, I would go with the Microsoft Store version. But if you don't care, you're just going to keep the game either way, you can go with Steam. But that is one of the cons I did want to mention, is that seems to be affecting quite a lot of people recently. But overall, I've really enjoyed it. The only other thing I've kind of noticed with the game is there is a little bit of a lag the first second you load in, but that's kind of the same with any game. It could pretty much, that could happen anywhere. But overall, it runs very smoothly. It does require a significant amount of graphics power and CPU and RAM power. It will use what's available on your computer, so it won't try to leave anything alone. So if you have like 20 gigabytes of RAM, it's going to try to use that 20 gigabytes to run smoother. And of course, like all flight simulators, you're probably not going to get 60 FPS constantly. That's not how they work. I've never seen a flight simulator, except for some of the older ones, that got 60 FPS. Maybe if you're running a 2080 Ti on high rather than ultra, you may end up getting stable FPS. But just keep in mind, you're not going to get a full 60 FPS, especially while recording. If you're recording things, you're not going to get 60 FPS. In this video, I'm getting between probably 30 and 40, depending on where I am. It may be a little less because I'm recording, but it's about 30 to 40 FPS, depending on where you are in the world. One thing I did notice as well is some of the AI traffic is a little bit broken, and it's understandable. It's day 2, 3 of the launch, so you would obviously have possible broken things like that. So some of the planes, when they're taking off, go too far, run into the cliff or something. Air traffic control, though, the air traffic control inbuilt system is significantly better than the other versions. I've really enjoyed using air traffic control in the new versions. In this game, it's way simpler to use, and it really lets you get the hang of it if you've never used it before. Now, I've used it in other games before, but this is significantly easier than other games to get the hang of, so make sure to check it out and use it if you're playing for the first time. They also add a lot of cool tips, so if you're a new player, they have a full tutorial you can go through on how to land a plane with like a virtual instructor, which is pretty cool. They'll talk to you in the thing. It's not a live instructor, it's pre-recorded, but they do give you a nice little overview. Now, one of the cons I also wanted to mention is I would highly recommend not playing with mouse and keyboard. Now, a lot of people may be like, why can't I play with mouse and keyboard? You will crash instantly. Now, I have a joystick, I have like a full setup as well, but I tried at first with mouse and keyboard just to see if it would be possible, and because I wanted to kind of mention it in this video. And it is possible to fly, but it's ridiculously more difficult to fly with a mouse and joystick or a mouse and keyboard rather than a joystick or a yoke itself. So I highly recommend getting a joystick, at least if you have the ability to. But overall, it is really, 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 really cool to play. I highly recommend checking it out if you have the money to get it. Even if you don't have the money, here's a way around that, is the Xbox Store. It has support for the Xbox Game Pass, which is only $1 per month. So even if you don't, or you can't afford the full game, which is $60 to $119, depending on, that's US currency, so it could be more in other places. I think I heard some people saying the deluxe is now about $150 in Canada and stuff, so prices range depending on where you are. But if you don't have the money to do that, I would go ahead and try it with the Xbox Game Pass, just see how you like it. But the final kind of things I wanted to kind of mention in this video is in terms of the graphics on the buildings and everything. While some buildings and some airports look absolutely amazing, there will be some buildings that look like they are a mountain or a randomly put together mess. But this is not controllable. This is just a normal flight simulator buildings. Now, if every building was like that, I would be a little bit more upset. But considering a lot of buildings looks great and it's pretty well created from what I've seen, it's not bothering me that much, especially since there's actually, I followed my own streets. Now I have high graphics on here, and I followed my own streets, and everything seems to be really, really, really well designed. So if I can follow that, I am completely happy myself, unless you have some reason to have every building exactly looking how it exactly is, which obviously no game can really get that close to. This is probably the closest you're going to get to that. But I highly recommend checking it out. I have a few live streams and videos coming on this in the next few weeks. So doing some very long live streams where we fly across the country and do some coding and stuff. That sounds fun with me, and I hope you all enjoy that. Tomorrow we should be back to our normal videos. I'm not exactly sure what video is going to be tomorrow, just considering it's school, and I'm recording this the day before this goes live, so I'm actually behind in my actual videos for once. But overall, I would really, really recommend checking out the game, and if you have problems with it, they have a Discord support server, they have a forums, they have a support hub, there's a bunch of places you can get help with it. So, everybody I've talked to, it's been an amazing experience, and you know what, I highly recommend it. So that is my review. Those are the pros and cons I've noticed of the game so far, and I would recommend checking it out if you can, and if you have the money to. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for whatever video releases, and see you then.